Okay. Let me drop one last message in the Telegram group as well. So we're set. Okay. And one last one. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, this is another great event from the YFII community. I encourage all participants as they come in, they try and put their microphone on mute so as to enable the panelists to be able to have a very great discussion tonight. My name is Lucky, and I will be anchoring part of this event, as well from the other team members from Huobi, who are the primary people that is hosting us today. And then we have other core team members from the YFII community, from Dovi Wang, we have Ahmed as well, we have Jialing as well, and from the Huobi community, we have Ciara, we have Neil, we have Emeka, and we also have, I think Monica is also on the line, if I'm not mistaken. And today we'll be updating the community about a couple of things we're doing currently in the community from the YFII angle, and also seeing how best we can be able to relate that as well with the major exchange like Huobi Global. So the concept of today's conversation would help guide us around liquidity mining and more. So you would have an opportunity to hear some of the things we're doing within the YFII community, especially from the core team as well. If you have any questions, we'll tell you to drop them please in the chat or in the live conversation. That way we'll be able to attend to them as much as possible. We'll try our best to break some of the key questions that probably audience would want to hear from us. We'll try our best to update you from some of the key things we're doing within the core community. And we'll try and let you know about some other important milestones we intend to achieve from the YFII community. And also there will be some giveaways that will be coming courtesy of Huobi. Huobi will be sponsoring that giveaway, and most of them will be in YFII tokens. So we encourage you to please listen throughout the entire conversation. Get ready to answer a couple of questions that will come from the entire conversation. And at the end of the day, you stand a chance to win among the lucky draws from courtesy of Huobi. But as of today, the entire concept or the entire thing we'll discuss will hover around between the YFII community. And like we all know, YFII is like the brain child of what we call the Ethereum of DeFi. YFII is now known as Dfi.Money. And our community is growing by the number, our work are already growing by the day, and our core team are doing all it takes to do the right thing for the entire global community. You'll hear updates, you'll hear about the new migration, you'll hear about some other things we're doing right now. So ladies and gentlemen, this is another opportunity for us to know the things that we are doing right here within the YFII community. And without wasting much of the time, I will just dive in straight into the entire mix of the question, and I'll allow each and every of my panelists to just introduce themselves. Like I told you, my name is Lucky Owakwe, and I'll be anchoring part of the show. So I'll allow the team from the YFII, sorry Huobi, YFII will have to start first this time. I'll allow the team from YFII to start introductions first, and then we'll go to the Huobi team. So I'll leave the YFII community to please introduce themselves, and probably, I don't know, you can allow the people see your face a little bit before you turn off your camera, just in case if your camera is turned off. So YFII community, please can you just introduce yourself? My name is Lucky. Dovi, I think your microphone is on mute. I guess, Dovi, your microphone is on mute.
Right. So can you hear me now?
Oh, cool, great, we can hear you.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Hey guys, So my name is Dfi.Money. So I'm one of the core member of Dfi.Money. So my full-time job is actually crypto investors. And so I've been in the space since 2014 and have been making various investments, and even before they are actually called DeFi. So like things like Kyber Network and 0x, and all the way from 2017. And so have been making investment ever since, and also holding like various community membership. So I have been doing advisory job for like CoinDesk and a few other few other crypto foundations as well.
Oh, cool. So I guess now we know that we have some of the big weights, even in YFI2. And we have so many other, quite a lot of them, especially within the community. And Dovi, good to have you. All right, over to you. Ahmed?
Hello.
Ahmed, we would like you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, my name is Ahmed Al-Sayadi. I actually work as a developer in the space. I used to co-found Chain.pro for Chain, which is an advertisement protocol on the chain. And then I co-founded Apex.io, which is a central exchange in the Middle East. It's licensed in Bahrain now. As well, I am a member of Dfi.Money, which is YFII, known as YFII. I participate in governance for this protocol, as well as smart contract audit and more in technical side. Technical side of this project. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So at least the community is able to meet some of our core members from the YFI2 community, as well as some of the technical teams, inclusive of some of the good number of persons we have to talk about later in the day. So I'll allow the Huobi team to also take in there. Sierra, over to you.
Hi guys, I'm Sierra Sun, Vice President of Huobi Group, and I'm Head of Global Markets and Business. So I oversee strategic partnership at Huobi Group across our 18 business units, and I also oversee global marketing and also institutional business. Prior to joining to Huobi, I worked in the traditional finance industry, working with Ernst & Young and Boston Consulting Group in management consulting, especially in the financial services offices. So very glad to be here with you guys, and greetings to the YFI community.
Oh, cool. All right. So I'll allow the next person from Huobi team to please introduce himself or herself.
I think it's just me speaking today, though.
Okay, good. So I guess we're good from the Huobi team. So diving in straight into the conversation for today. Remember, again, I said this particular event is brought to you courtesy of the Huobi team, the Huobi global community, and this is an interaction between Huobi and the YFI2 community just to enable the world know what YFI2 is all about, and also seeing how best collaborations and interactions we go between Huobi and the YFI2 community. We are also open to virtually all other conversation going forward in the future, and we'll use the opportunity between us and Huobi in this interaction to update the community about some of the key things we're doing within YFI2 community, within the YFI2 project as well. All right, without wasting much of the time, we'll just dive in straight into some form of topic segments, and afterwards, please take notes. There will be later giveaways, so I encourage each and every one of us to please pay attention to the entire thing that will be discussed today, because they are quite vital. YFI2, as we all know, runs via DAO governance system, meaning there is no central person who controls it. All of us have worked together as a community. All of us have worked together as a group, and we'll continue to build and continue to build until we make YFI2 great. And that's what we are, Dfi.Money, that's what we are, and we'll continue to do that. So thanks to Huobi team that have made this also possible for us today. Like we all know, Huobi is one of the top most exchange around the world. All right, so I'll be throwing some couple of questions as well to some of the core team members from YFI2, some of the core team members of the Huobi, which Sierra will be answering, or which Sierra will be taking responsibility for in terms of answering some of those questions. And one of the key things we all note is that some people are concerned about YFI2 going from $1,300 as at a time, or over $1,000 as at a time, when we had forked off from YFI1, and the price going as low as below $100, and today we have our price is over $3,000. Some people are concerned, like with the way this entire market is going, with the way this entire thing is going, would there be a bust? Would there be some funny things that we've heard happen sometimes in the community? Because looking back at 2016, 2017, we had this concept of where ICO was responsible for the balls and crypto trend in 2017, and the price of Bitcoin going as high as $20,000. Today, we're seeing the likes of yen finance hitting over the price of both Bitcoin and the price of both Ethereum. So we're now asking the community, even though I'm also part of the YFI2 community, but I want to play the devil's advocate by throwing some of the questions so as to let our community know that we are transparent, we are open, and would ask some of the tough questions and update the people very much about the entire thing. So 2017, 2016, we saw the ICO buzz. Now we're asking again, in 2020, on late 2019, DeFi became a trend. DeFi became a thing that is buzzing right now and is still hot and is still a trending topic. Are we going to be seeing some form of crazy things that will happen between in this DeFi space in the couple of months, or in the coming months to come? Are we noting fully well that we have over $10 billion that have been locked in total assets in virtually all DeFi projects right now? Are we going to be seeing anything like some form of bear markets that will come up within this time? I will allow Dovi to first of all take the first dive, and then afterwards I would allow Ciara to also do the same, Ahmed will also do the same, so that some of us who are concerned about, will YFI2 crash, will YFI2 drop, will the core team from YFI2 do some form of funny thing that will make the price go down, so we have opportunity to know. So Dovi, over to you. This is the first couple of set of questions I'll be asking, and let's know about a relationship between the 2017 and 2020 DeFi books. So Dovi, over to you.
Yeah, sure. So I think I can start. So like, first of all, and I think for like every of the cycle out there, and I've been through like 3 cycles already, all the way from the 2014 bubble, like the end of like 2013 bubble, actually, like the end of 2013 bubble, and to the 2017 ICO bubble, and now we are pretty much in this DeFi bubble, right? So speculation has always been the biggest application in our crypto space, I would say. Whenever there's like huge price volatility, and like there will be like speculation coming along, and we have seen like all the retail incoming. And I think the similarity here when it comes to the 2017 ICO bubble is all the retail, they're following what's considered as a trend, and so like if anybody has experienced if anybody who have lived through the ICO madness, and so right now we are in this crazy DeFi farming, or just a yield chasing fanatic moment, and like previously. Back in 2017, we have seen all these altcoins, and they can easily pump like 10x, like once they're like listed on centralized exchanges like Huobi, Binance, etc. And then right now we have seen all these retail investors, like so they are basically chasing after some unsustainable yield, right? So like anything over like just like 10,000 APY, that's like definitely not sustainable. And like if we think about why we can have like such like crazy API for all these different farming scheme, and so the reason is pretty simple. It's just the overprice of the market, and then also like all the retail investor who actually bought from the secondary market. And I think the difference this time, so even though there's this like similarity when it comes to like speculation mentality and like things like that, so the key differences I can see this time is about the fair launch. like back in time when it comes to ICO, and people can still remember like there would be layers of pre-sale, pre-sale, and like different rounds of different rounds of pre-sales or public sales out there, and then eventually hits the market. And so like that's why we have different cost bases. Retail investor will have a much higher cost basis when it comes to quote unquote VC or institutional investors. And that actually gives them a huge unfair disadvantage. And like they have no idea, and they have like usually they have no transparency, and they have like no idea what's the cost basis of the investors in the so like probably 3 rounds like before them, right? So it is not a fair game. So like the play field, so I think just like the play field is just like not even out. And given the whole fair launch model and introduced by Andre from YFII, and I think the whole space just open up to, I would say, back to the basis of the old school crypto. And so just like DeFi.Money, and we have seen many other legitimate, so like just like DeFi.Money, we have seen many other, just very, very legit DeFi projects out there. They have like no founder share, they have no pre-sale, they have like no investor. Everybody has to participate in the utility of the network, like say for instance, providing liquidity, things like that. You have to actually do the work like to earn your shares. And I think this is one of the critical differences this time. And this will eventually create a very good positive feedback loop, because like previously, it's just pump and dump scheme, right? And like people have to, so you have to get into the earliest round of the pre-sale, and so in order to have a good cost basis, like so you can basically dump on the people on the next round. And I think like this time we have seen real utility, we have seen a much fairer scheme, and then also we have seen a long-term sustainability of community governance. Eventually, all this liquidity mining scheme is what I consider as token distribution model, right? And because previously you have to pay out of pocket like to get a token, and right now everybody will everybody will basically spend the same cost. Like the cost in order to acquire those tokens is the opportunity cost of your capital. And so I think it's a much better token distribution model that I like comparing with 2017.
Oh, nice. So
yeah, so over to Sierra.
Yeah, so cool. And thanks, Dovey, for giving us more clarity in terms of if we're actually at the peak or if we're actually just starting out. Looking at what Dovey had just explained a few minutes ago, we've seen that we're just starting out when it comes to DeFi, especially the model that was introduced by Andrew Conge from Yen Finance. So from the perspective of what Dovey just said, we're starting out, and this is a little bit more fairer distribution model, and the opportunity cost in terms of the liquidity mining scheme is almost even on our side. At least we're able to see some form of transparency and all of that. And this same thing applied to the case of even Yen Finance too. So I'll allow Sierra to also throw more lights in it, especially in regards to the first question that I've been asked.
Okay, so first of all, I think it's a very good question, right? So compared to you know, the whole ICO buzz in 2017, now you know, like going through a couple of up and downs, bear market and bull market, the market itself and the space itself is more mature, and it's not only on the project side but also from the talent side, right? We've seen lots of talents from traditional space are now entering into this space and starting to work with the space. I think that's one of the things that we're seeing right now. And also from the customer and trader side, we've seen a lot of institutional traders coming into the market, especially from you know, the beginning of 2019. Some data from Huobi, institutional players trading volume made up to about 17% on in the beginning of 2019, and now it's made up to almost 50%. So that's the difference that we're seeing. That's the you know, the proof of, we see that traditional and institutional players are now coming into the space. So I'd say, you know, right now the market is way more mature than what it is in 2017. And DeFi, there is a very interesting concept there. We're looking at total value locked, rather than just when we look at SE, we're only looking at trading volume. So let me explain from a exchange perspective. It's really like, you know, when you rank exchange, if you look only at the trading volume, you can't really know. Like, it's, if you just give, you know, like zero fee accounts to high frequency trader, you can get as much volume as you can. It's all like, you know, in the dark, and you can't really tell you know, what's really happening for that project. Other than if you look at total asset under management, total deposited assets on an exchange, that's the data that you can't fake. And I think that's a more fair way to rank exchanges. Similarly to a project, right? For DeFi, you're looking at total value locked, and it's very exciting to see that it's such a huge sum of $10 billion locked up already. And if you look deeper into the data, most of the value locked right now is made up of ETH, stablecoins, and ERC20 altcoins. And one interesting statistics is that Bitcoin accounts only for 10.5% of the total TVL. So as of now, Bitcoin's market capital has reached almost $190 billion and 55% of the total volume of cryptocurrencies. So it means that wealth and institutions have not yet entered DeFi space and are still waiting. So it is to DeFi like what is happening before the year of 2019. So we expect to see DeFi markets can really grow, and maybe by 5-fold once the Bitcoin giants enter the market with BTC. And Huobi has a world-leading centralized trading platform, and we aim to, you know, bridge the gap between CeFi and DeFi to support the market growth and to empower DeFi markets through HBTC also. And, you know, just like the things that we did with YFII communities, we wanted to support the community, and we wanted to support good DeFi projects out there. And we believe that with this joint effort with DeFi and CeFi communities, Huobi will significantly push the limits of decentralized finance markets and accelerate the growth of DeFi.
Okay, cool. So now at least our audience is able to begin to hear or see some important key statistics that will enable them, guide them into seeing what the things we're doing from the YFII community, especially from the fact that the total value lock is a very important key indicator for most major listings. So some of you, I've been seeing a couple of questions of people who've been asking things around when will YFII list in Coinbase, when will YFII list in Huobi, main exchange, and all of that. So one key important things we've been doing, especially from the angle of YFII, is that we've tried as much as we can to continue to bring in some of the best strategies that we continue to encourage a higher total value lock. Now, as of today, the global total value locked in DeFi is around $10 billion. Looking at the statistics or projections of what even Sierra was even talking about, we're hoping to even see sometimes about 5-fold or even more. So meaning, if you are still entering YFII at this stage, looking at the total value lock from the global DeFi as somewhere around 10 billion, it means we're kind of still early in our adoption of YFII. We're still early in our adoption of even DeFi. Looking at the projections of possibly, I'm seeing about 5 times the amount. And again, the number one most traded cryptocurrency, or the number one cryptocurrency in terms of market rank, which is Bitcoin, total market capitalization is around 190 billion, meaning just barely 10% of the total value lock is even in Bitcoin. And with what we're planning to do with the case of YFII, we are bringing up other strategies that will most likely open up much more bigger capital inflow. And once the capital inflow begins to come into total value locked, it means there will be more demand for most likely YFII as well. So I'm going to allow Ahmed to also put more light in terms of the entire concept. So those of you who are joining us, we at a point in time, we have over 100 plus participants at one point in time. Right now, we have somewhere around 97 over 100 of them. So please stay tuned and please listen. Remember, there will be a giveaway courtesy of Huobi Global that will be coming up later on, and we encourage you to please keep the conversation a little bit more civil in the chat. So while Ahmed is also able to throw us more light. Ahmed, over to you, please.
Okay, so the last answer of that, actually, we are seeing exponential growth of DeFi, because it's very small part of the crypto space as well. Like your question is like, is it going to be a bear market? Is it going to be burst? It's very part of the crypto space. If the crypto bear market is coming, it's coming on DeFi as well. So there is a risk actually. There is a risk actually in DeFi, like, because if the bear market is coming, Ethereum prices will go down very dramatically, and the liquidation, because so many people are borrowing, using Ethereum as collateral to buy borrow DAI, for example, and go to invest in new projects. So there's kind of many risks in DeFi actually, but it's very small. Like, see, the whole market, crypto space market is like 300 billion, I think. Now DeFi basically or mainly on Ethereum network. There are coming network like Polkadot and different network are coming on the way. They will have their own DeFi ecosystem. Bitcoin, some people are trying to make a protocol to tokenize Bitcoin on Ethereum. I think more than of this is like real world assets, or maybe financial instrument that or real life we have now. Maybe they will come along the way to DeFi. So despite the bear market or it's a bull market, DeFi is in the beginning. So it's a long-term game. I think it's a long-term game. For builders, if you want to build on DeFi, just jump in. It's your time. I think it's the time now. You just come and build whatever is going on. For investors, if you are a single investor or institutional, there is a risk. There is a huge risk, and there is a huge, APY we call it, which is income from investing in DeFi. So for example, in YFII 2, we actually that's why YEarn and YFII 2 came on the way, because you guys are talking about ICO. DeFi actually there are so many projects that they have zero value. They just copy, fork the code, and then just publish a website, and they give you like a high APY, and then you do farm maybe. I can give you an example. For example, in the risk of, there is another risk which is called of the smart contract itself, because sometimes like the developer maybe make a mistake on the smart contract, and you put, like, for example, YAM case. YAM is a yield farming, starting with the yield farming, like in half a day, like $500 million in this smart contract. And there is a bug in the smart contract. The developer just print out like 10x or maybe more of the total supply, and the price go down. I lost money as well. So many of my friends, they were yield farming in YAM, and they lost money. Like, this is risk, right? So it's good to know the logic behind what's going on DeFi. There is many risks. There is many money are coming in. Builders are coming in. So just join and teach yourself, learn more, and then you will enjoy it. It's a long-term game.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So again, for those of you who are still joining us again as well, like you heard one of the core team members from YFII 2 community telling you about some of the risks that are also inherent within the DeFi space. Still, again, like we're reiterating, we're still early when it comes to our DeFi. When it comes to DeFi as a complete ecosystem. And one thing that is very particular about the DeFi space is in terms of smart contract risk, where if a smart contract is wrongly coded by some of the dev team, that could be an issue. We saw a case of what happened to YAM. But one thing we've been able to do from the perspective of YFII 2 is that we are we're not too fast in terms of releasing strategies or releasing some of the most latest things, because we want to take our time to go through everything, audit. And by the way, for those of you who didn't know, we have close to 20 developers within the core team of YFI2 community. And one of the things we do is, apart from the fact that we kind of create these strategies or these layers of developers where after it's been released by some couple of persons, we ask some other group of persons to re-audit, check before it becomes a public thing. And apart from that, again, we also have some form of other volunteers who are also willing to always check in terms of our code before they're released. These are some of the key things we're doing within YFI2 community to ensure that we have no room for error, all right? Because smart contract errors are a possibility, but one of the things we're doing within YFI2 community is that we ensure that those errors are totally eliminated or almost close to zero, minimized to a very large extent. And that's one of the key things we're doing that is making us a little bit more exceptional from virtually every other DeFi project out there. Again, if you join us, this is an opportunity for us to talk about YFI2, liquidity mining, and much more. And one important thing for us within the YFI2 community is that we're looking at long-term, we're looking at the things that will make our community much more better. We're not necessarily about focus too much on the price action, even though we know that price action is an important part for the community. People always want to hear about what will make the price go up. But one thing we can always be able to do on the part of YFI2 is that we will be able to deliver better value, better product, better service, better strategy, and in turn, it will increase the price on the very as we progress down the line. You just hear when Sierra was also talking about from the Huobi part. Now, from the exchange part, those of you who are asking when are we going to list on other bigger exchange, from the exchange part, they're always looking out for why total value locked within a particular project. Are we able to lock much more higher value? As of today, I can tell you, YFI2 is one of those top DeFi projects that have locked in much more money than virtually any other DeFi project out there. There's still other good DeFi projects that have locked in huge amounts of money, of course. But one thing we're doing within the YFI2 community is to bring up strategy, to bring up things that will be able to lock in much more higher value into the YFI2 main project, and at the end we'll be able to win, because for us winning has always been part of YFI2. Those of you who are joining the DeFi space at this earliest time, because we believe we're still early, we encourage people to join us within the YFI2 community. Holding YFI2 right now is like one of the best things you will do in DeFi going forward, because the things we're working on, the things we're building, the things we intend to bring out as strategies, we're thinking long term. We're not just thinking about the short term gain. And believe me, you will come back many months, many years from now, and you look at where we've been. Remember, YFI2 started as a clear-cut, decentralized movement from the DeFi space, where we want to put powers back in the hands of the community. We want to put powers back in the hands of the people. And we've been able to move from the part of, in terms of price action, for those of you who care about price action, going from $1,000+ to even sub below $100 at some point. And in a space of 2 months, we've been able to hit an all-time high of close to $8,000 and more. And as of today, we're close to around $4,000, as the case may be. That's as the last time I checked. I don't know what the price is as of now, though. So more good news coming out from the YFI2 community, more good news coming out from collaborations between YFI2 and Huobi. So I want us to still pay positive attention to the things our core team will be saying, pay positive attention to the things some of the people will be giving us from the Huobi community. And remember, you still have a chance in terms of being able to win and some other giveaway courtesy of Huobi. Again, I'm also speaking from the perspective of YFI2. As much as I'm taking a little bit more of the lead in terms of anchoring the event, I'm also speaking from the perspective of YFI2 within the core community. I try to play a little bit the devil's advocate in this case, even though I'm still part of the core community of YFI2. Our community is strong, our community is better, and our community is growing greater. One thing you'll be sure of is that we'll be locking in more total value or more total locked-in asset within YFI2, and this in turn would attract more of the big players from the exchanges who are coming to look out for us. So both from the Huobi side, both from the Binance side, both from the Coinbase side, more good news will be coming to virtually all our community soon. So we tell you to please pay more positive attention. just like Ahmed again, I've been able to say, of course, there are risks in terms of all of this. So we also encourage people to trade with caution in terms of if they're coming into the space. But however, while there are risks, we believe that we are in the earliest phase of the DeFi movement or the DeFi buzz, and we'll say just flow with the go with the flow at this particular point in time. Crypto winter will be my next couple of questions. So I'm going to ask again Dovi to throw a little more light in crypto winter, even though she did talk a little bit about it in the first time when we had questions to her. Dovi, do you think crypto winter is coming? And if it's coming, is crypto winter also coming for DeFi? And
yeah, so like talking about crypto winter, and I think we are not there yet at the top of the euphoria. And so for like every cycle, and so for like every cycle, you will feel there's the top, like the top signal. And what I consider as a top signal is if the dumbest, like, so if the stupid friends around you, they're all making money from crypto investment. And I think that might be the top signal. And I haven't seen that happening yet. And so I think that the cycle, and it's actually coming from the insider first, right? So if we think about all this DeFi stuff, everybody hear me okay? Because it seems that lucky you are, I think you are frozen somehow. Okay, anyway, so, right. And so we were like talking about so when we talk about the crypto winter, we first have to identify, so we first have to identify the topping signal. Like I said, like the topping signal is all these like noobs and just people easily ape into the coins that they have no idea, and then just like try to speculate and just like, so basically just like to hold their backs, and there's like euphoria like all around you, and like even if like the super stupid friends around you, they're also making a lot of money, and I think like that's what happened at the end of like 2017 last time. And this time we have seen like the trend started by the insider, and I think this time the good thing is like this cycle, and we have seen whenever something that's like sketchy, fishy, or like turn out to be a scam, and it can be revealed quickly, and just that scam exploded like really fast, like either on social media like Twitter, Telegram. And I think people have learned from like 2017, and then also thanks to fair launch, and like thanks to all this like open source like smart contract, and people learn how to distinguish from the scam to the good. And like we have seen a lot of like just front running, and then like also say for instance like the recent Shusi saga, and so that's a really good, so like that is like a really good example of community governance, and then also how community actually saved the projects, right? So I think this time we are not going to see the market easily going all the way up, and because like the whole market is much more rational, and we will see something that so we will see this correlation and also like intermediate correction like happening here and there. And so it will be so what I consider as a much healthy bull market. It won't be very violent and very fierce bull market, but it will be very, very slow and smooth, and then just like spiraling up bull market, and like which I like better, to be honest. And I think it's a great time for both investor and like builders, and also for the individual who try to learn about the market. And when it comes to 2017, and so you literally have no time to learn, and you just like jump into the next trend, right? And then so like it's really fundamental driven, because like you're afraid of like missing the trend. And so I think this time there's a lot of like undervalued assets out there, and then like Huobi has been doing a really good job just like spot those things early on. And it's actually like to my surprise that things even I came to know just like a few days ago, and like Huobi actually gonna list them like tomorrow. And so I think they have a really good research team, and just like, so they have a really good research team, and then also this like hunting team, and like going around like on the ground, and then like figure out what other things and assets that can be undervalued, and then also have like great potential. So I think this time, like the market will give us a lot of opportunity, like a lot of opportunity to help us to allocate our position and then try to manage our portfolio. Yeah, so like that's my take.
Oh, cool. All right. So again, at least we're able to get more insight into things around crypto winter coming. So what I also hear from the perspective of the exchange side, again, like the event is to brought to you by Huobi Global. And so we want to hear from perspective of Huobi Global, from the exchange perspective, from what you're seeing in terms of numbers, from the back end, because sometimes before the community sees numbers, exchanges have some form of good understanding in terms of what numbers are saying. From your perspective, do you think crypto winter is coming? What should we be aware of? Sierra.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I want to thank Dfi for endorsing us on our listing process. Okay. So speaking of bull market or bear market, whether the winter is coming or not, it's a very complex question. You know, it's so much more than just involving with DeFi projects and stuff. But statistically speaking, since the big crash since March 12th, we've seen Bitcoin price went up back to $10,000, and we've seen the markets being much more lively since then, especially with the DeFi season, the whole craze happening from early June. We've seen so much trading volume, and especially from the retail side. And as I said before, institutions has been constantly just coming into the market since the beginning of 2019. It's just keep happening right now. And so from our perspective, our teams will always keep close attention to innovations and new changes in the market. However, we do take the trends very, very carefully. Instead of just following the trends blindly, we conduct very complete set of risk management for our users. And here, like in the whole beginning of the DeFi craze, we faced a dilemma, right? On the one hand, DeFi is heated with high liquidity. On the other hand, there are potential high risks. So our listing team, especially me as a board of the listing committee, we've been struggling a lot with this. On the one hand, we hear our community and users' voices. They really just want to trade DeFi projects, and we see this liquidity is so high, and we definitely see there are good projects out there who need support from centralized exchanges, but we understand there are high risks, and especially some say the codes can be wrong, or like there's no team, no one can be responsible for whatever happened to my token and all that stuff. So one thing that we need is that first of all, we have an obligation to both providing the right opportunities and to protect them from risk of overseeding market. So that's why we decided to develop this new listing section. It's called our Inno Hub, and is named for innovation. It's a perfect balance that should fulfill both our applications to our value community. So Inno Hub, we actually started our Inno Hub listing with YFII and YFII2. And we think it's a good balance because there's this meaning behind the Inno Hub that we believe that these projects listed on Inno Hub have very, very, very high potential, but also potentially involved with higher risks, higher opportunity, higher risks, and we put a limit, purchasing limit on each token for each account, so that it's a protection from Huobi to our users. And speaking of other things, we try our best to offer the best liquidity, and in terms of particular tokens, especially with BTC and ETH, we do offer the best liquidity in the world from our other exchanges, and we tend to offer one-stop trading services, products from perpetual swaps, lending, staking, crypto saving, to meet the needs of our community for more diverse financial products. And we look forward to work more with the YFII community to explore all of our products in the near future.
Oh, okay, cool. So thank you again, Sierra, for that wonderful insight, giving us perspective from the position of exchanges. One important thing we've always done from the angle of YFII is that we try to keep everything open and transparent for everybody to see. The reason is sometimes talking about our level of transparency, some people might be like, it's meant to hurt us. But for us in YFII, we just make everything very open for everybody to see. We don't want to just stand on the position of just about price action alone. We also want to make things very transparent. Now, I see a couple of persons that have been asking questions around, is YFI 2 smart contract or detailed or not? And already from the perspective of YFI 2, which I'm a part of, and I'm part of the community, YFI 2 smart contracts have been audited by SecBeat. There are other people, again, that have also done some form of auditing to the smart contract of YFI 2. This is a very key important part for most persons who are trying out DeFi for the very first time. It's very important for you to know if the smart contract of a particular DeFi have been audited or not. But for us in YFI 2, I'm telling everybody right now that yes, the smart contract have been audited, and not just by one person, but even firms have been able to do that. A couple of volunteers have been able to do that. A couple of other individuals have been able to do that. So for those of you who are asking a question, even from the chat group, I could see quite a lot of those questions coming up from the chat asking if YFI 2 as a project, as a DeFi project, if Dfi.Money, have we been audited? I'm saying the answer is yes, we've been audited from the angle of smart contract. Now, again, going back to one of the developers again within the core, within the YFI 2 community, which is Ahmed. Ahmed is still on the line with us. Ahmed, I would also like to you to talk a little bit in terms of, let me leave the crypto winter part of it, because I think you give a little bit of light in terms of if the crypto winter comes, it's not just because of the sake of DeFi, it's going to affect the entire market. Sierra and Dovi also throw a little bit of light in that. Now, you're part of the core community of YFI 2, Ahmed, and also you're also a developer that have also been contributing greatly to the service of what we've been enjoying from the DeFi ecosystem, inclusive, especially with much more better reference to YFI 2. Ahmed, from your own perspective, how decentralized? Everybody know that DeFi stands for decentralized finance. How decentralized is YFI 2? I'm going to ask you to throw a little bit more light in terms of how decentralized YFI 2. Why I will keep them the other key question to Dovi for her to also explain. I know one of the things that convinced Dovi even in the earlier stage of joining YFI 2 is the level of transparency that was also established, inclusive of not giving anybody some form of admin key. So we're not having a case of where some couple of projects out there where some admin have some form of superior power to do things in the way they could just take out unilateral action. I believe when I had some conversations with Dovi in the earliest time when we all met within the Dfi.Money or the YFI 2 community, one of the key things that convinced Dovi in that earliest time is that the admin key was burned. There's no kind of superiority over one person over the other in YFI 2. We'll make it very open as possible. So I will allow Ahmed, who's also one of the developers within the community. There are other devs within the community, though, because they are still speak to you. One thing is that YFI 2 is always working 24/7. When others are sleeping, some are awake, working while some are still sleeping, the others so it's like continuous round the clock. We always have a non-stop community that are always doing something, especially within the core team. So, Ahmed, how decentralized is YFI 2? I know the answer, but I also want you to share that with the community as well. And I'll throw the more key questions to Dovi after your question.
Okay. So let's make it some parts. One of the token total supply. In terms of the token total supply, actually it's fixed. It's like just 40,000. The key of the smart contract is burned out. Nobody can add tokens to the total supply. That's because we burned the key of the smart contract. So the other part is like governance. The community actually has the governance is done like by proposal. Like if, for example, if you want to make a change on YFI 2, anyone can propose a proposal. If the proposal passed by the community based on their token or their governance token, based YFI token, I mean, you can just vote. You can vote against or for. If it's passed, then the governance community has to do it. For example, we have like 11 multi-sig signs on that governance protocol. So myself, I have a key on that, and different people from different from the community. So we actually just make sure like everything is proposed by the community, and so actually the token, the governance token, which is YFI 2, is very important for the long-term healthy for DeFi money. And that's why now in different DeFi projects, people are realizing that's the important for governance token, because it's like actually, it's like decide which way this project will go. I mean, so it's, for example, if this project is controlled by, or they have this governance token by some people, very few people, it will be has a risk of centralized. But like you can see, the Wi-Fi is actually distributed. Wi-Fi token is distributed among the community. So the community decide what to do, when to do, and yeah, that's we just execute what community and token holders want to do.
Okay, thank you so much, Ahmed. Quite a good important points you've been able to raise. Again, to our audience that are joining us and wanting to know how decentralized is YFI 2, how safe it is, we're telling you from the perspective of smart contracts that we've been audited, not just by one individual, but even firms, known firms that are out there. We're also telling you that there are other volunteers who also have been able to do some other auditing for us as well. So again, this is very important to note that as of today, we have quite a lot of exchanges right now that are now reaching out to YFI 2 community, or that are reaching out to the YFI 2 core team for them to list. So you will later on be hearing some of the major exchanges that would also be listing YFI 2s in the soonest or the shortest possible time. Over to you again, Dovi. I want to ask you, how decentralized is YFI 2? I know you and I were all part of the YFI 2 core team, but I also want to put it out there to you for you to throw perspective from the part of how decentralized is YFI 2. Your mic is on mute.
Yeah, okay. So because I think we are like running out of time, so I just want to be quick and like try to like precisely answer so to precisely answer some of these like key questions. And first of all, decentralization is not, so it is not the goal. It's basically the means to the end. And why we want to be decentralized, like because we want to have a fair access and just have a relatively meritocracy system. So for the entire YFI 2 or like Dfi.Money ecosystem, right? And like no one is the authority, can dictate everything. So like that's why we burn the admin key, and which means like there's literally just like no owner of the smart contract, and like no one can make more token, and no one can like so no one can basically rapport, right? And we have seen what happened to Sushi and like what like Chef Nomi literally just like didn't communicate with anybody, and like even like 1 hour before, like he was still saying, okay, so I'm not going to sell, I'm not going to dump. But like when it comes to crypto, don't trust the individual. So like don't trust the like. So we don't want to trust anybody. We basically want to have the same chains for everybody to actually verify through the smart contract. So that is the key ethos of DeFi, and that's the fundamental thesis of the whole crypto community as well. So I think having no one can control the smart contract, and having the owner key, so like having the owner key being burned is the critical path for us to to the future prosperity. And how decentralized is YFI 2 community or like Dfi.Money community? And if we think about the scale, right? And there's definitely some part of part of decentralization. Say for instance, we have a handful of, we have a limited supply of developers like working on the contract, right? We always short on like engineering effort, and we are definitely expanding. And on the other hand, other than the core engineering effort, and when it comes to operation, when it comes to community governance, and when it comes to front end design, and then also like making proposal, like everything is highly centralized. So like everything is highly decentralized, and you can submit your proposal on the forum, so like everybody can have access like on the forum, and then like anybody can make a voting proposal as well. And like the at the end of the day, like the voting result is based on the voting scheme of all the YFI2 token holders, right? And so the token itself is the token itself is your voting power, and it is your access to the access to the democratic system of our own ecosystem. And then like the other thing I want to highlight here is I have received a lot of like just direct messages or just like Twitter DMs saying, okay, is there any good news coming up, or like is there anybody going to pump this? And so the fact being a community driven project is there's no one going to dump on you, and also there's no single entity or like no whales like going to pump it, right? And so I think we have to get out of this old school just pump and dump thinking, saying someone gonna pump your back. And so like I said, this cycle, and because scam gonna be exposed quickly, and also legitimate project will have much more attention easily. So right now we are in this environment where this signal to noise ratio is much higher than the 2017 cycle. So I have a very, very good confidence that anything has a very legitimate background and have a solid fundamentals and have like actual use cases, it will definitely shine at the end of the day, and it will eventually reflect on the price as well. And yeah, so that's my thoughts.
Cool. Okay, so again, the very, very key important question that Dfi have been able to answer. For those of you that have been trying to reach out to like know, will there be a dump, will there be a pump, and all those questions, quite good. I understand that the community also want price action, and some of the key things we've been able to do, or we are doing even within the YFI2 community, is that building some of the best strategies that we encourage the use case for it. One key important use case of the token is also in terms of governance. For those of you that have been asking the question, what do we do with the YFI2 token? One important thing is with the YFI2 token, you're able to also do governance, meaning you can put out a proposal for where or how you want certain development to go, and if it's able to gain better traction from the community, that will happen. Another key important thing we do with the YFI2 token is it also enables people or users or holders of it to be able to earn interest by virtue of being able to hold that, especially in the initial stage. Now, there was a new release couple of just barely 2 days ago about the I token. The I token mechanism is one of the best strategies out there now that is gaining traction, which is enabling people within the YFI2 community utilize stable base coin and earning interest in it. Apart from the fact that you're able to earn interest in it, please note that by virtue of holding YFI2 token, you stand a chance to benefit from some of the percentage that is meant to come out of any of the pool of the profit, sometimes also as well as fee. We have a 10% ratio, which was passed courtesy of the YFII and also the YFII. When I mean YFII and YFII, I'm talking about the year-end improvement proposal, which is like a proposal that was raised from the community to ensure that much more better value are given or added into the YFI2 community. So those of you who are asking the question, what can I do with it? There are quite a lot of things that you will be able to do with the YF2 tokens, and we're bringing out more and other better strategies to also benefit people. I know there is a clamor for certain votes within the community to be fixed. Those are also under important key things that will be done for the community as well. And in turn, holders of the YFI2 token have much more huge benefit. Like I said earlier, I said a lot of people are now beginning to see that we now begin to lock in more total locked value within the YFI2 community, which is also attracting people to hold onto the token as in terms of benefit. And Bigger exchanges are now coming to reach out to us, and in no time you'll be hearing much more good news from the community. So let me just also speed up things in terms of from my own perspective, and we'll be able to have a much more quicker app. Is YFII making any plan for building its own blockchain? I know some people are already beginning to ask that question. Will YFII build its own blockchain? Right now, most of the DeFi projects are already built on top of the Ethereum blockchain, and very few actually outside the Ethereum blockchain. Are we making any plans to do that? Let me just quickly answer that. As of today, the answer is no. We're not making any plan as of today to build it. We are focused more from the part or the perspective of building much more better use case, much more value, much more strategy, much more access for people to be able to penetrate or utilize or get involved into DeFi community as a space. Our developers are already having a lot of work in their hands. Our strategies guys are already having a lot of work in their hands. So we are actually not in any way building our own blockchain asset now. Maybe it's going to be something that would be a future plan, but if the community say they need it, that's one of the beautiful things about DeFi. That's one of the beautiful things we do in YFII too. If the community say they need it, then they can also as well put it up for voting, and maybe we'll begin to take in that light. So just to also move on or progress a little bit in terms of the things we're doing. Now, some people believe that most DeFi will soon bust, or most DeFi will soon go into extinction, just like ICO. Ciara, I'm putting this back to you. Do you think DeFi will soon bust? Dovi, I'm putting this back to you. Do you think YFII 2 will soon bust? Ahmed, I'm putting this back to you. Do you think YFII 2 or DeFi will soon bust? So that we quickly move on and progress and probably call this a wrap as soon as possible. Why some other key important questions are coming up. All right. Ciara, over to you, please. Do you think DeFi will soon bust? Ciara, are you with us? Okay, I think your mic is on mute. Ciara, if you're with us, probably check your mic. I'm not sure I can hear you.
Had a hard time
probably you're talking. Okay, yeah. Good.
Okay, so as you probably already seen our recent press release, we launched a DeFi Labs inside of Huobi Group. It shows that we have a strong belief that a centralized world will push the industry towards greater efficiency and give more people financial freedom in the long run. And the bubble and innovation will both exist in DeFi system for the next few years. And also, the rapid development of DeFi is a very special phenomenon led by large-scale mining, and whether it can be maintained in the long term remains to be observed. So far, DeFi has no significant threat to centralized exchange yet, but we do see, AMM is a very innovative way, and we're blown away by how the whole DeFi works and DEX works, and that's why we're catching up, and we're paying all of our attention to how the whole world is evolving, and the essence of DeFi is to give users their full ownership of assets. So Huobi's vision is to empower more households worldwide. We say that we want to see 100 million households to hold cryptocurrency. That's our vision, and to own crypto assets and to empower financial freedom and create new global wealth. So, and Huobi is integrating both DeFi and DeFi into our ecosystem to fulfill that vision. And hopefully, we see that the DeFi world we see a few projects will be really coming out of the whole craze right now, and will be successful in the next 10 to 20 years from now.
Oh, cool. That's quite another important one. And again, Ahmed, do you think DeFi will bust, or do you think YFII 2 will bust, something like that? Just a following one.
Yeah. Actually, as I talked in the beginning, like we are in the exponential growth of the DeFi now. Despite the price, I don't care about the price and this stuff, but I think the technology now, it's DeFi now is like playground. It's very open playground. The iteration is very fast. Like now you can just if you see a protocol on the DeFi now and you think this protocol has maybe some shortage, or you want to improve on it, you just fork it and make another one, and maybe improvement on that. And you can, and people will put amount of money to test your project. Of course, some will lose, some will earn, but the progress is on. So this is good about DeFi, I mean, on centralization in general, because it's permissionless. Anyone can build, anyone can invest, like CX like Huobi and other can join. I mean, it's for everybody to join in. So I am optimistic in general for the whole DeFi thing, actually. So I'm mostly now like almost my time is working on that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Dovi, I think I will give you a double dose of questions, so you just throw light together on them. First of all, I needed to talk a little bit about the mining a little bit in terms of the YFII, YFII 2 space, and I also needed to talk a little bit about do you think it's going to bust? Something of that nature. And even if it does, will YFII 2 still stand? Something of that. So I just talk a little bit about the mining or the farming part and how do they do it and all of that. Just need to talk a little bit about it so that the audience will also get a little bit info in that.
So the first question is about farming or mining. What is the first question?
Yeah. Okay. Fine. You can take farming, mining, and then will it bust or will it not bust?
Oh, so like farming. Okay. So like farming is definitely the high APY is definitely not sustainable, and because it just doesn't make any sense, right? Like the high APY really depends on whether is there any like retail investor, or like is there anybody have this over so can actually market buy at a very overpriced spot price, which I don't think gonna be sustainable at all. Like it's definitely fundamental driven. So I wouldn't consider it as organic price. So I think like the farming itself it's actually nothing new, right? So it's basically just you basically have to spend your opportunity cost of your capital, like in return of the other kind of asset, and like the essential is the same as proof of stake or like back in the time. So it's, I think especially for anybody who are like Chinese crypto community member, and like we can still back in 2018, like there's also this liquidity mining from all this, so for all this centralized exchanges. And I remember like Huobi at one time also offered liquidity, basically just a trans fee mining program out there, and it's very similar design. So you basically trading your opportunity cost of staking your capital, and then in return of some other kind of asset. And so like especially for many of this especially for many retail farmers and so who have not enough capital, like even to cover like the gas costs, because the currently Ethereum gas cost is extremely high. Like it can easily cost you like close to like probably a few $100. So if you just want to finish like a series of smart contract interactions. And so I think most of the retail farmers, and they're in a huge like disadvantage like when it comes to whales. Farming is proof of capital, and Bitcoin mining is proof of work, and they have some similarities out there. And just answer your second questions, whether whether DeFi.Money will eventually survive, and like after the potential DeFi winter, or like how it gonna end up as the end game. I think it's very hard to do the prediction, but like what I can say right now is we are definitely at this inflection point of the future hybrid universe of both CeFi and DeFi. And I think for whoever have used all these DeFi products and it can be Aave, it can be our Vault, and it can be MetaMask. And so you will have a complete different feeling when it comes to using all these DeFi products, right? And I think there's like definitely advantages like when it comes to DeFi or these decentralized exchanges, and it can help you to protect your fund safety, and then have a lot of like easy onboarding process. When it comes to DeFi and you are not trading your personal privacy and financial behavior data for any potential front running out there, and I think it's the first time for us that we can have a full transparency of like what's happening like out there, like especially for like any like trading trails, right? And then so you can easily see from like Etherscan like what's happening from all the protocols, and then so you can see what's the other's price and like things like that. So it's a completely different paradigm. Like given you have a better control of your capital, and given you have better transparency, and given better given you will be able to, for the first time, to fully own your wealth, right? So you will have to be self-accountable as well. So I think it's basically like two sides of the coins. And like if you are not too confident of your technicality, and so you should still go to DeFi. And Huobi has been a really good platform for us, and they have like supreme customer service and like has been super responsive. And if you are more confident and comfortable and dealing with all this potential smart contract like unknown, right? And so I think like DeFi is the way to go. And like that's my take.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. And again, a couple of people have been asking some questions within the chat group. I've been seeing quite a lot of questions. Some people are asking in terms of they read a little bit about the article for the YFII forking of the YFI1. Can you throw a little bit more light again, Dovi, before you go? Can you throw a little bit more light in terms of what was the forking scenario? Why did we have to leave? I actually would have wanted to throw light myself, but I just want to play the devil's advocate by being neutral in this point and allow you to throw some light in terms of what happened. Okay, check your mic. I'm not sure if I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, so like the initial token distribution of YEarn, so like that's that is like YFI1, and everything basically distributed within like a week. And so I think that is just like the initial design of like Andre, and like they don't have a lot of like, explanation on why just like everything is fully distributed like within a week. And so that basically makes a lot of people like just miss out the opportunity. And so like that's why at the very beginning, like the core dev of YFII and so he made like a proposal saying like, can we actually change the token distribution schedule and basically makes it just like Bitcoin, right? And then so we can have all this weekly halving so for about 6 weeks. And so that is the original idea. And so in this way, we can have a longer distribution cycle, and we can involve like more members from the community, like to learn, to participate. And that is the original thought. And so we didn't hit a quorum. So we made a proposal and we didn't hit a quorum. And so like that's why we decide, okay, like given it's like an open source project, and then what about we just like implement our own version? And I think like the whole thing is very spontaneous, and like even the core dev like didn't thought a lot about this. And I think like at the very beginning, like both Andre and also the core dev of YFII, they didn't expect like things can explode like this. And so there's no like 6 years plan of like what's going on, right? And so everything happens simultaneously within a 500 people WeChat group. And so they just finished coding overnight, and then like have their own have their own version of the implementation. And I think the rest is history. I personally don't consider this as a cannibalistic fork, right? When it comes to cannibalistic fork, and you have to compete for something so you have to compete for something that's very limited. Say for instance, like the Bitcoin Cash from like the Bitcoin fork, they have to compete for the hash rate. And anybody who have experienced like the 2017 Bitcoin fork and know like the competition is brutal, right? But for us, and like I don't think we are fiercely or we are fiercely competing for anything that's limited. And I think we have like different community profile, and we have like different capital profile. And like if you think about yield farming or like yield tracing, it is a ultimate arbitraging between the basic interest level between the fiat world and our crypto universe, right? I think like all across the world right now, probably except for China and just a few other countries out there, and US, Europe, Japan, like they're all in this negative interest zone area. And so people basically have no yield, right? It's like zero. So it's probably just zero or like negative yield. And like when it comes to crypto market, like even just the basic lending interest on RV, so can have over 10% yield, so per annum. And so I think at the end of the day, it's just like a great arbitrage opportunity between fiat and crypto. And we are not competing for like limited capital resources out there, because we are competing for the unlimited money printing scheme by all the central bankers. And so this is what we are fighting for. We're eventually fighting for the individual's financial freedom, and we are fighting for the hyperinflation. We are actually fighting for the unlimited power of the central banker. So this is how we like unite together and then just join this like DeFi revolution.
Thank you. Again, to most of our audience who are watching us right now, this is courtesy of an event from Huobi. Everybody know Huobi as one of the top and leading players when it comes to the exchange space in the entire world. And they've been around for quite a long time now, and have been able to make their mark in the entire space. So I'm going to throw some questions down to the Huobi representative, Sierra. So I'll allow you to answer and throw more light from the Huobi perspective, so that the entire audience will know some of the key things you guys have been able to do. Already, Huobi have been able to do some important things, including the InnoHub, which a lot of persons are aware. For those of you who are not aware about the InnoHub is like the DeFi platform set up by Huobi to ensure that some of the most credible DeFi projects are always launched out there. And as of today, Huobi, being one of the top leading players, became one of the earliest people to even have launched a DeFi platform where the likes of YFII have been listed as well. So just to throw light again from the perspective of Huobi, because again, this is strictly brought to you, the event is brought to you by Huobi as a company. Now, Sierra, please, I'm going to ask this question to you. And my question will be, in recent time, we've seen that the trend in DeFi have made the likes of decentralized exchange like Uniswap do huge volume, like around $700 million and all of that. So I really want to know, like, do you see more centralized exchange coming in more to get more involved in the mix of DeFi and DEX? As some exchange founder have recently tweeted to say that if they did not list some of this DeFi, they will almost go obsolete. And so I want you to throw more perspective from the angle of the Huobi side. You see more Huobi getting more involved in DeFi, so that people will know that, okay, Huobi will become the one-stop shop for everything DeFi in terms of those of them who want to trade. So I would like you to throw more light on it.
Yeah, good question. So, okay, it's a very long question. I'll start from the beginning. Okay, so at DEX, all trading behaviors as well as assets are on chain, right? So traders are regulated by the, a great code, and DeFi exchanges do not control users' assets and ensure the transparency compared with centralized exchanges. However, DEX has failed to take the mainstream due to low liquidity and adoptions, and the growth on Uniswap is significant, largely due to liquidity mining recently, like I endorsed earlier in the question, last question, we think is very innovative way. And, we hope that we'll figure it out earlier than them. And except for a small number of mainstream cryptocurrencies, most tokens traded on Uniswap have a rather low liquidity though. So besides the high gas fee, also have a negative impact to users' experience on Uniswap, making it not suitable for high frequency trading or and other we say institutional players like we touched based on earlier. And decentralized exchanges also, in lack of professional trading services, like Dovey said before, we tend to put our customers first and offer professional services to them as close to what they can get from the traditional markets. And we also offer a complete set of products to them. So say we have OTC, we have spot trading, we also have derivatives trading, futures, options, and we recently launched our USDT and BTC options on September 1st, and we also have our swaps, and our USDT quarterly swap is coming up in Q4. So make it all accessible for traditional traders. And as for the DeFi, I just saw a really sweet comment in the chat box. Okay, so as for the DeFi session, as you said before, we really wanted to put in efforts and resources to support the whole involvement of the DeFi craze and the DeFi community. So that's why we had the hub listing a lot of DeFi projects there with high opportunity, also high risks, and to protect our users, but provide them the opportunity to trade DeFi projects. We also launched our DeFi labs, and we're looking at investments for DeFi projects, and we also have a section for DeFi projects trading on Huobi Global. So there are tons of things that we do for DeFi projects, and we look forward to see what DeFi community is gonna be like in 5 years from now. And hopefully, like I said earlier, we want to see successful projects be there, and we want to be supporting them along the way.
Okay, cool. So again, for those of you who are concerned about the high gas fees you're facing in the places and platforms like Uniswap, one good thing that Huobi have been able to do is that if you still want to participate or hold on to some of the DeFi token, you can easily able to acquire or purchase some of these tokens, the ones that have been available on Huobi platform, directly on the Huobi marketplace per se. So the concept about high gas fees have been greatly reduced because of what Huobi have been able to do, especially in the likes of listing YFII. Again, for those of you who are still concerned about what about the farming protocol, the way the mining is, liquidity mining is being done, and some of this DeFi that are popping up here and there, how can we be able to also cut down the high gas fees? One key important thing we've been able to achieve within the YFII community is that we're bringing strategies that will be able to just aggregate virtually all of these people who are putting or locking in fund into the total value locked in within the YFII community in such a manner that we can be able to reduce the high gas fee, because for some of the early players who have very little amount of money, either two key important ways to which you can do that, either purchasing those DeFi tokens directly on the Huobi platform, or for those of you who want to participate into mining or the liquidity mining using the YFII platform. Again, our strategies are now beginning to consider ways to which we can cut down the gas fees, and that's one key thing we have been able to do. So those of you who are able to, who are now beginning to wonder where will be the one-stop platform for a centralized based exchange, Huobi have been able to offer quite a lot of that. And those of you who also want to join into total locked value from mining, liquidity mining, which is like another way for you to earn revenue. Because like I said, the I token was recently launched, making it possible for a lot of persons within the YFII community to have to use stable backed coins in terms of joining into the liquidity mining as well. These are some key important things I think we've been able to achieve, both from the Huobi side, making it easy for people to purchase, and those who also want to stake or who also want to put it in terms of locked-in assets. So these are the key things. And because of time factor, there are quite a lot of things. Those of you who have been crushing on both Sierra and both Dfi, you're trying, so stop distracting our speakers. You're doing quite a lot of funny ones. And there are some key important giveaways that are coming up, courtesy of Huobi. From a platform. There are questions that have been asked from Huobi side, and I want each and every one of you to try and answer them as much as possible so you can stand a chance to win some free YFII token courtesy of Huobi. And those of you who also feel that the gas fees are already high from Uniswap, you can easily get YFII token directly on the Huobi platform without having to go through the high gas fees that people are facing. Already you've heard from Huobi that Huobi intends to come in more to play in within the DeFi space as we continue to see higher trade volumes coming in from the likes of Uniswap, which is a decentralized exchange as of today. But people have been complaining massively because of the high gas fee being faced. There are also challenges from the Ethereum gas fee, apart from the fact that Uniswap is also charging maybe some people are experiencing a high fee from the high gas fee from utilizing Uniswap. You can cut that down using the Huobi platform. And again, some people are beginning to complain about multiple gas fees being paid as a result of trying to stake in or lock in money. That's one key important things we're doing from the YFII community. Before I will allow us to go, because we started this program barely about an hour, 25 minutes now, and I think we've spent quite a lot of time to throw some couple of questions. I'll let that go. I will allow Dfi, please. Can you throw a little bit more light on the iToken model that was just released? If you throw a little bit more light on the iToken model that was released, I will allow Sierra take one more point, and Ahmed as well, and then we can call it a wrap. And I believe I'll be able to get my own YFII token or some DeFi token from Huobi, from Dfi as well, because Dfi have been one of the key important people in this space. So please, those of you that want to distract Dfi with giving her some of the love and good, beautiful messages, please, can you tone down a little bit of that right now? Dfi, I think after now you have a lot of fans, I guess.
Well, right. So I think the iToken design, and we haven't finalized yet, but it's basically a basket of so it's basically a basket of like stable coins, or so you can consider it as like a synthetic asset, and like which will be used which will be used as the wrapper when our own contract interact with the other contract. And I think it might be better for like Ahmed to have like more detailed design idea about what's behind this iToken. But like iToken basically gonna be our investment instrument, so gonna be our investment vehicle, I would say, because right now when you deposit to our vault, and we have to use whatever like the native token gonna be, and so over time, so they can potentially create some friction. And so like after we wrap it together, and then so we can consider it as a one total package, and we can use that total package and like to interact with the other smart contract. So that's a very high level description. And so like the other thing I want to add on, so talking about this vault strategy, and I think Sierra also pointed out like the current DeFi total value lock is close to 10 billion, but only a very small portion is coming from synthetic Bitcoin, right? But if we look at the total market cap, like Bitcoin is still the king, and it's still like over 60% out there. So I think we are here in China, and we have a much better access to all these Bitcoin miners, and then also long-term Bitcoiners here, like based out China. And like China has a lot of supply of Bitcoin thanks to the whole mining industry here. I think that's like a future, like a very important future execution plan for both Dfi.Money, and I think probably for Huobi as well, is that how we can get all these miners, and how we can get all this idle Bitcoin out there, and then so like have the asset and then execute it in our DeFi universe. And I think that's like great potential next step for us. And because like there's so many different ERC20 assets, or so there's so many different ERC20 assets already. And but I think for our crypto community, and Bitcoin is still considered as the end zero. So it's basically considered as the hardest asset and considered as the source of everything. Yeah, so like that is like one thing we are working closely with mining pools, and then all the just like all the big miners out there, and then so try to educate them about our own vault strategy and our own like DeFi plan, and then like working together with many other OTC merchants out there. And so because like many of the miners, like they have no idea how to wrap their Bitcoin, right? Yeah, so like that's one thing we really want to thrive, and I think we are in a very unique position, so can make it happen.
Oh, thank you so much, and I appreciate you all. So I will leave again the final question to Sierra. Sierra, is there any other future plan for DeFi from Huobi, so that the entire world will know what are the beautiful plans coming, what other beautiful future plans that will be coming from the angle of Huobi to the entire DeFi ecosystem?
Yeah, so I think I already touched base on this earlier. So we've already launched our hub, and we'll continue to list DeFi tokens there. And like what I'm doing right now, I'm putting a lot of efforts and time. It's almost midnight my time now, and talking to the communities and trying to support our beloved community users. And also our DeFi Labs is continuing coming up with new products and plans, and there are just things that I can't disclose right now, but just stay tuned with our press release, and there are exciting things coming out of our DeFi Labs.
All right, so everybody needs to stay tuned more to what Huobi has to offer for us in soonest and possible time. Already, there are quite a lot of things that are already ongoing from the Huobi angle, especially in the DeFi space. I think Huobi have been in the forefront of DeFi when it comes to most centralized exchange out there in the world, as far as we can tell. Looking at the series, it's more like a launching spray of what most DeFi projects out there. Like it's almost like matching what you can see in Uniswap as far as any of the DeFi space is concerned. You can always get, if not better number of DeFi token, and again, like people will complain, the gas fee is high, but you can always cut it down from the Huobi angle, utilizing the Huobi platform as well. So thank you guys. There are other key important information that will be coming out from the community as well. We might not be able to have time to do that now, so that we can allow Sierra, Dovi, Ahmed, and the rest of the other team to go to bed, because it's still afternoon for me, my time zone. So I probably still have the energy to take it a little bit more, but let's just cut it down here for today. And then as well, Dovi, I hope you're one of the big whales in the community. I call her whales because she has been involved for quite a very long time when it comes to the blockchain space. Dovi, I'll be sending my wallet later to collect some of my own tokens and some of the DeFi projects where you are all in. I hope when I send them, you'll send me some of the little DeFis that you can send me across. I'd love to get them. And to all our communities that have followed through, especially we can't thank the Huobi community quite enough. Like they've made this quite possible and made this quite so entertaining and interesting. Please, I always want us to follow through in terms of the updates that will come out from the DeFi space from Huobi. Those of you who are complaining about the gas fees, Huobi have come to solve that already, or solving that already. Those of you who also want much more listing, if you want more listing of DeFi, speak to Huobi. They can make that happen as well. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a win-win for all situations. And I would really love to all of you guys, as you follow Huobi, follow the YFII community and see what we also are doing, because there are more to come from it, more collaboration between YFII and Huobi, more collaboration between YFII and other places. And if there are any other questions, I think you can put it out in the community, both in the Huobi community or on the YFII community. Any of these, we're always ready and always waiting for you. Huobi have come to stay. Huobi is a long-time key player in the DeFi space. They are not going anywhere anytime soon. They'll always be around for us to make us happy. Remember, they do their due diligence on virtually all DeFi that have been listed. So you always rest assured that before they list, there's always due diligence that have been done on a project, and you have some piece of mind while you go to the Huobi platform to purchase any of the DeFi that have been listed there. So thank you guys. Dovi, I hope my request that I'm making to you on a public forum, you keep to it. All right, Dovi, I'll be sending my wallet soon. So I'll allow you to answer if you agree and accepting to that. Oh, cool. All right, she said yes, I guess, and cool. So, Ahmed, okay, I'll allow Dovi to put the last word to that before we go to the community, especially thanking the entire people who have made this possible, from Huobi to the entire YFII community. So I'll allow Dovi to throw last word, and I remember my request, Dovi, and then Ahmed, you do that, and then Ciara, you call it a wrap if there's any last thing you need to say. So Dovi, over to you, then Ahmed before Ciara.
Yeah, so I think we are in a very chaotic phase of the entire world, and we have seen geopolitical tension. We have seen a lot of misunderstanding and misconception between different races and different nations, and the good thing about the whole crypto community is completely just a matter sovereign, right? And there's no single entity, there's no single authority that they will actually control us, and so I think that's why we are in this ecosystem. We are in this we're in this industry, and so I highly recommend everybody and try to get a hand on all this. So try to get a hand on all this different DeFi experiments, and probably don't throw too much money on it, and then because you would take a lot of time to learn and then just to ramp up. And I think cryptocurrency at the end of the day gonna be gonna be something that can guarantee our private wealth, can 100% secure by the math, and then purely by computer science, and so there's no other way in the world right now, so that's actually possible. So so we are definitely in for this revolution, and we are in this inflection point, and just don't get behind, and just get your hands on it.
All right, key takeaway, don't get behind. We're in for this revolution. Huobi is making that possible for most persons who are not too technical. YFII will continue to build in that regard. Ahmed, is there any last minute or last word you want to say to the entire community before we call it a wrap, so that Ciara can have the last word?
Okay, so we need more developers actually in the space. So it's a good time for you if you have a developer to join the space now. In terms of YFII, I think for new projects, if you are starting your project on DeFi, we have a large community in YFII, so we can support you if you're a legit project. You can utilize the community by supporting YFII. For example, when you distribute your token, so you can utilize this community. For developers, we have strategies. If you have a good strategy, you can deploy it on Vault, and then you will get 1% of the income of the profit, which is a big number actually. This is open for everyone. For investors, actually, DeFi project has high risk. If you don't want to take a lot of risk, we minimize the risk by doing Vault. So you can join this Vault. We do the audit for you. We do the we check project, so you can. It's less risky. Actually, it's less risky, but it's not 100% non-risk. It's less risky than investing yourself. So we're trying to serve in this way, and welcome everyone to join.
Oh, cool. So we welcome everyone to join the community as well in terms of further development of the DeFi space, inclusive of within the YFII community, inclusive of using the Huobi platform, because Huobi is doing quite a lot of innovative work as regards to that. So Ciara, any last minute word from you as well? Then we'll call it a wrap. It's almost 1 hour 40 minutes now, 1 hour 37 minutes actually.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm really, really impressed by all of the community members we've worked with from YFII, and also our colleagues at Huobi. They've worked some insane hours here to meet all the needs from the communities from both sides, and we really appreciate all the support, and we want to continue our support to DeFi and listen closely to the community's voices and continue to lead the development of DeFi. And also for listing, we've been looking at like more than 10 different projects every day. I mean, to the listing committees level. So we've been just really putting in lots of hours. I've been looking at projects from, the minute I wake up until like midnight. So anyways, thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking to you guys today.
All right, so thank you guys, and quite an interesting one. Remember, Huobi is the one-stop place for DeFi and also centralized based platform, and we'll always welcome each and every one of you to come back to the community. I want to use this opportunity to thank all our developers, including me, myself, even though I'm playing the devil's advocate today without having to talk much from the angle of YFII. I want to thank each and every one of you from the Huobi community, from all our fans who are out there, and from all people who have also been doing great work. A lot of our developers are probably not having the chance to come and participate in this entire team. And we also want to thank Andrew Cronje. We also want to thank the likes of Satoshi Nakamoto. These are the guys who have also made DeFi one of the most trending things, and we'll always continue to respect that. To Leon Lee, who's the founder of Huobi, we definitely want to thank him as well, who have also made this possible for us today. So thank you guys, and have a wonderful night rest from those of you in Asia. And for those of us within Europe, America, we're still having a great day for today. So thank you all, and have a wonderful evening from Asia. So thank you guys, bye-bye. So let's all meet at the Huobi platform, get more better DeFi as well. So let's get more DeFi as well. Thank you. All right, Dovi, thank you. So I'm messaging you, Dovi, after now. Thank you. Bye, everybody.